Thrilled to see such a great group here for Friday morning of Phoenix Fan Fest. We are off to a good start. Thanks for showing up. All right. Well, you are in for an extra special treat because we are very lucky to have a television legend here with us today. Born in a small Montana town, he got into acting on a dare and went on to become a megastar. He's known for not only for portraying the daring pilot Starbuck on the original Battlestar Galactica, but also for being the face of the A-Team TV series. Our guest has ventured beyond the small screen and authored several books and plays as well. Let's give a warm Phoenix Fan Fest welcome to Dirk Benedict.
I can do it.
Need elevator shoes, Dirk.
No, I'm not. Yeah, it's good. Stairways, this first step is the hardest. So, I'm introduced already. So
You're already introduced.
All right, so welcome. You know, can't believe I found out I was speaking at 10:30 in the morning, which I don't usually do now that my kids are gone. When I was raising my boys, I used to start talking at like 5:30, brainwashing them. I was a single dad after I left show business and got divorced and lost my money and my girlfriends and everything, my wife and that. But I got custody of my kids and I went back up to my little cabin in Montana, raised by two boys. So that's really the most interesting thing I've done in my life.
Well, you did a good job at raising those boys.
What?
You raised two very polite.
How, you've met them?
Yes, I met them.
Did they ask to borrow money, or did I trained them? I said no.
And I met them on the cruise, and in 2000 when you met John for the first time.
When we did what?
Were at a convention in Philadelphia.
In Florida?
Philadelphia.
No, Indiana.
Oh, in India. Oh, you were there?
Yes.
This lady was in Indiana. I took my two little boys. It was
Yes.
Thanksgiving.
Yes, you and Ann Lockhart.
Ann Lockhart and I think Herbert Jefferson was there.
Yes, Herbert was there too. And you had just found out about John. And
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other story. I discovered in that was 97 or 8. Yeah, because I discovered I had a son. Who knew? And he came. So he came. Somebody knew, but it's a great story actually. Which I don't know if I should tell it. His biological. Well, we got a videographer here. I've got to clean up my whole talk here because we're recording it, and I get in trouble. It goes because they put it out on the internet. And, you know, in this age we live in, you know, with the what do you call it, conflict-free zones or free speech zones. Is this a free speech zone, by the way?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
This is like America. This is like America used to be. I can actually.
This is
Awesome. But I can't smoke. You know, I have difficulty doing anything without a cigar. You could ask my ex-wife if you don't believe me. But that's why I married her. She never complained. She kind of, you know, I always knew it was time for sex when she came in with a lit cigar. Yeah. As I got tired, or I used to buy smaller cigars. Oh. Yes, you know. Oh, God. But, I don't know where to start. I had a show business. I had an interesting childhood in Montana. And then, you know, and I got into show business by accident. You know, I was a stage actor first. I stumbled into it when I was in college. I got a little inebriated my freshman. In fact, without alcohol, I wouldn't have had a career. Alcohol. Well, it's true, I guess, because, you know, as a freshman, it was in like March, and I was with my college buddies, one of whom I just saw for the first time in like 40 years. He lives in Boise. And he came to visit me, still a great guy. We were football players. We were there on a scholarship, so we were kind of, anyway, we're good friends. And there was audition. Do you know this story? Because I've told it. No?
Yeah, so,
Oh, so I can change it. You've never heard of it? I'll make it better then. Never tell the truth, because, always make it up and always make it sound better than. No, I'm joking. Are these on? Yeah. Is it better? If I talk, no. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Tap the front of the base, Dirk.
I could stand at the
Yeah,
podium.
stand at the podium.
Well, you were there.
Yeah.
It's like working with Richard Hatch.
Oh, my.
He always took the best spots. I go, Richard, you can't be in, the star of every scene, the best position in every grouping. Where was I? Was I having bastard children, or was I? I'll tell you. Where was
you're
I?
starting your career in college.
Where?
You were
What?
drunk.
You were drunk in college.
Oh, I was drunk in college. Alcohol was the key to my
started with alcohol.
show business career, such as it was. I never really had a career. Career is like momentum. You have career. There's a continuum. You build a reputation, and then pretty soon people. I don't care what you do. You're a mechanic or an electrician. You have a career, profession, and they say, "Oh, this guy's a great electrician. Go get him." I never had that. I had a couple of jobs, and when the job was over, I had to start all over again. There was never, "Oh yeah, get that guy from the A-Team. He was great. Get that guy from Battlestar. He was great." No, it was like over, start over. I really don't know why. I used to take showers every day, and I wore cologne, and I did all that. My mouth always got me in trouble because I grew up. Hollywood is a very liberal place, and even in the 70s, they tried to fire me for the cigars, and I know I was drunk in college. I'll get back to that. They tried to fire me when I was doing Battlestar for the cigars because it wasn't in the original script. This is how far back the anti-smoking thing goes, because anti-smoking is like. It's like global warming. It's a front for people that want to destroy a free country, an independent, capitalistic country. They want to. There's a the left, the whole. We've been trying to do this. They tried to do it with the communists politically in the 30s, not 20s and 30s. That didn't work. So then they went into academia and then culture. They understood that they could get control of culture. So. Smoking's really, anti-smoking is not really about health. As by God, I'm going to prove. I smoke 3 or 4 cigars a day, and I'm going to outlive the bastards,
George Bush did.
I buried every time an anti-smoking fascist dies, I have a little party. And then, there's so many of them. Go get the statistics on the amount of lung cancer, and nobody smokes anymore. Well, people do, but, you just see them running down alleyways with it. You're terrified somebody's going to turn them in. Really, I mean, we're like the scum. I walk down the street in Big Fork, Montana, where I live in the summer. It's kind of a resort place now, and the mothers will grab their children when they see me, walking down, they're little kids, some of them know, some of them don't. They kind of, why are we avoiding this guy? You can hear the mothers going, see that, that's a cigar. Don't you ever touch it. That's disgusting. I don't know why they allow that. Why is he allowed to walk down the street smoking that disgusting cigar? So, when I was doing Battlestar, I read the script, and it screamed, the character screamed to be smoking a cigar, It was written as he was a gambler, and he had liked ambrosia, and I said, man, and Glenn Larson loved it. So when I did my screen tests, which went on forever because ABC was a network and they did not want me in this show. Glenn Larson, I had met, about a year before, and he decided, I didn't know this, but he was writing the part for me. So, but the network didn't want me. So I did like 3 or 4 screen tests, and in the process, I introduced the cigar, and Glenn liked it, and he wrote it into the script. So eventually, ABC, they kept saying, let me finish that story. Let me finish one story. No, it's that I have so little time, so many lies to tell, and so little time in which to do it. No, but they would say that I wasn't old enough, that I didn't look old enough. So he would do a screen test, and he would match me up with actors who looked, younger, so that I would look older. And then he said, no, he looks mature enough to. So, and I was not a young kid then. I was, was not like 21 years old, but I looked young for my age. And so they would come back and say, well, I wasn't physical enough. I just looked a little wimpy. They want a macho guy, and I looked kind of, So then we did an action screen test. I came in and I fought some evil aliens. And Glenn and I are laughing all the time because he's going, don't worry. They're just stupid. This is the network. We're just going to jump. They're making us jump through the hoops because Universal loved me. Frank Price was the head of television and Glenn was the executive. They loved me. Well, and so I was always going to do, and I was very excited because I loved this character. It was perfect for me. And then I got a call from the last one was, they said I wasn't sexy enough. So they did a screen test with, what's her name? This really sexy girl. Blonde, quite famous. Did a couple of TV series. And I put her on the list of girls I've forgotten. It's a long list. The ones I remember is very short. So we did that, and then that was it. And goes, well, this will, because it was very steamy and it was great. It's good. I get a call from my agent saying you didn't get the job. This was on my birthday, March 1st, 1978. I'll never forget. It was my birthday, or day before, maybe the day before. I think it was my day of my birthday. It was a Sunday, I believe, and I went and. So I packed my stuff. I just had this little hole in the wall anyway, and I said, you know what? I'm done with acting. So I'm done. It's been too tough. I'm going up to Montana, and I think I'll be a writer. I don't know. I'll do something else in my life because this is, this was written for me, and if I can't get this job, what the heck? So that was it. So I remember I went to this Japanese massage place. They had a beautiful massage and a sauna, and did the whole thing, and then the next day. And I took a week tying up ends, and about just before I'm ready to take off, I get a call from my agent saying, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "What?" He said, "You got the job. You're going to work on Monday." So it was a week after they had been filming. They'd been filming Battlestar Galactica for 1 week. So I later got the story. And after a week of filming, Glenn Larson went to Frank Price and he said, "What are we going to do about Starbuck? Because I've been shooting around that character, but we've got to cast it, And Frank Price said, "What do you mean it's Dirk Benedict? We cast Dirk Benedict." He said, "No, ABC won't hire him, and they're paying the bill. They're the ones signing the checks. Is ABC." He said, "Well, why?" He said, "Well, they said he's just not sexy enough." Frank said, "What?" So Frank Price said, "I want a meeting at my house on Sunday," and he had a place in Beverly. So they went and they screened my screen tests. They had the head of ABC, Tony Thermopoulos, the head of casting, Pam Dixon, and they were all there, and they screened them, and then Frank Price said, "What's wrong with this actor?" And somebody started to explain it, and he said, "No, this is who we're hiring." He used some bad language, which I'm not going to quote. But anyway, without Frank Price, I wouldn't have been in the show. He said, "No, we're going to hire this actor. This is the guy. And if you don't like it, we won't do the show at ABC." So it took that to get me into that role. So the ABC hated me the whole time. They just hated me. I remember I had a little cubicle dressing room. It was about as big as this. And Richard had a motorhome. I wasn't jealous. No, I didn't care. I was so happy to be able to play this part. I would have had no dressing room. I really didn't care. Because my agent goes, "This is outrageous. You should have a motor." I said, "No, keep your mouth shut. I really don't care. And besides, I'm having so much fun. Just don't." And they fought to get me in this project, you know, Universal, Glenn, they went to the extra mile to get me this job, no problems. Then we went on the air. Well, we started filming like in March, and we went on the air in September, so we were filming a long time. And after about 2.5 months of smoking my cigar on the show, the network said, because I hated it from the beginning, hated it, but hated it. I mean, I can't overemphasize, it was like, so they wrote a memo, and Glenn came down to the set and said, one more cigar and he's fired. One more cigar, we see one more daily with him smoking, he's fired. Oh, God, and Glenn said, look, we don't need this, so we quit. So there's an episode where there's, you know, where I didn't smoke. Then we went on the air in September, whatever it was, in '78, and every girl in America sent me a cigar. Because their argument was that women hate cigars. I mean, they just hate them. And I'm sure there are some that do. But according to ABC, that, you know, the girls wouldn't like this character, and he's supposed to appeal to, I said, well, you know, who says that women don't like a man that smokes? And what the heck? This is so insane. Although now it's reality. This is the America we live in. But then it was just like, and I would say stuff then that people thought I was crazy. I said, you know, this is only the beginning. This isn't going away. They're not going to stop. They would never stop. So when I finally said, well, to hell with it. I'm smoking a cigar because obviously it's not hurting the ratings, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I smoked the cigar. But it was an uphill battle the whole way. Playing that character. Thank God it was fun because, oh, and then not only did I get to smoke the cigar, I got a motorhome. I can't do it. Yeah, because I became successful, and then, you know, my what do they call them? TV rating for the character was high. You know, people liked the character, so I got my own motorhome, and everything else was downhill from then on. No, so that was Battlestar Galactica. But you know, I had a whole career before that. Because when I got drunk when I was my freshman year, I was into music. I played the Dixieland trombone, played the piano, but I wanted to be a composer. So we're walking with my buddies, and they said, you know, audition for spring musical. It was Showboat. I didn't know the musical, but I should have, because it's classic. It was the first musical. Before that, there was only operettas. But Jerome Kern and Oscar Hammerstein, they wrote Showboat in 1920s, 28, 29. And it was a huge, huge success. And there's been about 3 or 4 movie versions, and it still plays Broadway and West End. It was some of the greatest songs ever written. But I didn't know. So, you know, walking by a little tipsy, and I said to my macho colleague, I said, you know, I could do that. Meaning I could go in and sing and audition. I could do that. They fell down laughing, which irritated me. So, because, you know, I wasn't a singer, but musical. I'd sung in choir and stuff. So by God, they all put up $5 and I went in. And I'll never forget, the first time I was ever in a theater, and I walked in this theater, you know, I'm 19 years old, I walked down, it was spooky, it was scary, you know, it was like you walk in, there's the back, there's the curtains, you open up, beautiful theater, it's a state-of-the-art theater, I later discovered, and there's all the seats and the stage, and there was, you know, the director and all people sitting down there with notes and stuff, and other students scattered around, and it had a special aroma. It was scary. And I walked and somebody said, yes. I said, oh, I'm here. I wonder, you're going to audition? I said, yeah. Oh, okay. So pretty soon they handed me, I said, do you have a song? I said, no, I don't. Well, so they said, so they gave me the music and I sight read and sang this song. Then they asked me to like do a scene, read a scene. So they gave me this script and I read this scene and I came out, collected my $20 and forgot about it. That was on a Saturday. I don't know. The next morning, this freshman theater major, or guy, Brian O'Reilly, who later became a really good friend, very tall and skinny and, you know, very theatrical, comes down, he says, oh, Dirk. And we'd never spoken for the 9 months we've been in college together. He said, because I was a jock, you know, I was a football guy. And he said, congratulations, you got the lead. I didn't know what a lead was. I thought, you know, I was going to have to wait tables in the dorm or something. You got the lead. Oh, but it was, congratulations, you got the lead. I go, what? I go, what? Gaylord Ravenel, Showboat. Oh, it came back. I said, oh my God. I said, I'm in the, yes, you're gonna play, it's fantastic. I'm so excited, and it's good to have some. I was nauseous. I was so, it was the worst. I'll never forget that day. And my buddies were laughing. My best friend, Tom Skook, a world-class trumpet player, we had a little Dixieland band in college, and then later, afterwards in Seattle, I'm playing. He said, oh, don't worry, you know, you'll be, you know, just go tell him you don't want to do it. So I did. Monday I went in to the head of the drama department, Rod Alexander, John Fryman. I said, I can't do this. I just did it for the experience. And I really have no interest in acting, which was true. I said, and I've never done it, and I'll be terrible. And no. It's all done. Rehearsals are Wednesday. We'll see you here at 5 o'clock. They're not listening to me, so I leave. So I tell Scoot, I'll never do this. Don't worry. You're going to be so bad that they'll have to get rid of you. So just go there and do it, and you'll be terrible, and you'll be done. Well, I went there, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the rehearsal, and the leading lady, who was really beautiful. I fell in love with her. No, I fell in love with the experience with the rehearsal, with the whole, and it was always my favorite part of acting was theater, rehearsing a play to put up in front of a live audiences. And so I kept doing it, one thing led to another, and then I went to a graduate program, and then my dream was to be, you know, a really good stage actor. And then one mistake led to another, I ended up a TV star. It's true. One wrong decision after another, and I ended up in Hollywood doing television. And at one point, I went, how the hell did this happen? I never dreamed, I never wanted to be I never wanted to be an actor, but after I got into that, I quite enjoyed it. And I starred on Broadway once. I was on Broadway twice, co-starred one, you know, starred in Butterflies Are Free with Gloria Swanson, who became a dear friend of mine. I was lucky. Gloria Swanson became like a second mother to me, and Fred Astaire from Battlestar became like a second father. You know, we became very close. We hit it off. We had simpatico. We were peas in a pod. Fred and I especially, we were very, very similar. I got some really interesting Fred Astaire stories, but I loved him. He was so cute. But anyway, I was doing Broadway, so I did Butterflies Are Free, and I was really happy, and I had a reputation in New York and everything, but how did I end up in television? Well, I went to, the play closed on Broadway, and there was somebody who was going to do it in Hawaii. Do you know this story? No. Well, they were going to do it in Hawaii, and I'd never been, you know, I'd only been on an airplane like 3 times in my life, and Hawaii, I always wanted to go to Hawaii. Who didn't back then, you know? Nobody didn't travel. So I went to Hawaii. I'm going to do this Butterflies Are Free, which I've been playing for 9 months on Broadway, so that was easy, with Barbara Rush, very famous actor and actress and wonderful lady, playing the mother. I did it with Gloria Swanson, but Barbara Rush, it was great, and Melody Patterson, who was married to Jimmy MacArthur, who just passed away a couple years ago. He was a dear friend. James MacArthur from Y50 and et cetera, and his wife Melody played the girl. So I became good friends with them. It was a wonderful experience, but while I'm there, the casting from Y50 sees, is watching me work on the stage. So when that's over, they say, we want you to do a guest shot on this TV show, Y50. So I'd never been in front of a TV camera before. I thought, wow, this would be fun. This would be a hoot. This would be crazy. This would be fun. So I did it with Jack Lord. I got some Jack Lord stories too, but he was a weird dude. And he did say to me when I showed up, welcome to my island. And he did it to everybody. When you did, all the guest stars, when they're there, he'd walk up with a hat. He said, welcome to my island. He's a really good actor, a handsome guy, and very imposing, and a nice man, but he was welcome to my island. I mean, he was kind of off into this thing. Well, what happened was, they warned me about Jack Lord, because Jack Lord could be really nasty if he didn't like an actor. Jack Lord thought I was the greatest actor that had ever guest starred on So, which was great at first. I thought, oh, this is great. And because I had come from New York. I had come from Broadway, which is where he started. This was a large, so it started. So I'm in Hawaii, you know, and there's all these pretty girls on the set, and I'm on doing a TV show, and Jimmy McCarthy and his wife is there, and she's introducing me to her friend, and I'm hanging out, they come in, and lunch comes, you know, I'm going to go hang, and Jack Lord comes by and says, Dirk, come to my, so I had to go to his big motorhome and eat lunch with him every damn day. So I had to eat lunch with Jack Lord every day, because he just adored me. And then he would tell me the stories of his career, and I would sit there, and he would sit in this big wicker chair with a table, this fancy table, and I would sit with my meal on my lap, you know, like in a little chair on the couch. And he's up on the throne, and I'm there. I thought, this is not fun. So this went on the whole 8 days. In the evening, I thought, though, you know, it'll be over. So evening comes, Dirk, I've got some kinescopes on this movie. I had to go watch Jack Lord movies. At night, not every night, but like 2 or 3 nights, and I'm not going to be in Hawaii forever. And I'm sitting in a dark room with Jack Lord watching movies of him. Isn't that weird? I ended up weird too, but in a different way. I sit in a room alone now, but I'm not looking at movies of myself. I'm saying, what happened? Where did it go? How did this happen? Everything, you know, I never dreamed of becoming any of the things I became, which is a little weird. I didn't realize it till, you know, I never wanted to be a football star. I became one. I never wanted to be an actor. I became one. I never wanted to write books. I wrote a couple. I never wanted to direct. I never dreamed of being, I never wanted to be married. I ended up married. I never wanted to be a dad. I said, when I got married, I said, here's the rule, no kids, no kids. Oh, yeah. So I became a father. I don't know. I finally figured out what I really dreamed of being. And this was weird. And I've spent like 10 years sitting alone in a dark room in Montana thinking about this stuff. Yeah, it's not as bad as all that. I spent a lot of time alone. But always, what I really, I can't say this, sounds too weird. So where was I? So I'm doing Hawaii 5-0. And with Jack Lord, and it's finally over. And I'm going back to my career in New York and my life, and I got a really nice little apartment. I've been starring on Broadway. I was making like $750,000 a week in 1972. That'd be like, I don't know, $8,000 today, $7,000, $8,000 today. That was a lot of money. And I had a reputation in New York. It was like, and I had a great agent, same agent as Pacino and Redford and Elliott Gould, Stark Hesseltine. So I was on a roll. And I'm on my way back to New York. I got some friends that I went to high school, acting school with that are in L.A., so I'm going to stop and see them. James Watson Jr., African-American actor that I knew quite well. And I stayed with him and his wife. And while I'm there, my agent from New York calls and says, Dirk, you got a meeting at Universal Studios tomorrow at 2 o'clock. He said, I don't know why. I just got a call. They're trying to find you. So I go out and I meet, buy a car, I go to Universal Studio. First time I'd ever been on a movie studio lot. That's really, they got the gate, and the guy who came to know Scotty, and you go in and you got a pass, you go to this room, and you go upstairs, there's all this security, and then you go finally get into this office that's half the size of this room, and there's a big desk, and a little tiny guy sitting behind you. Richard Zanuck Jr., who had just been fired by his old man, Darryl, from being the head of 20th Century Fox, and he and David Brown started their own production company. So they're getting ready to produce their first movie. And I don't know any of this, I don't even know he's famous, I'm so out of movie. I don't know the movie. And I go in and I got like a 30, 40-minute meeting with Richard Zanuck. Really smart guy and nice guy. And we sat there and talked. And where are you from? Montana. Oh, Montana. We talked about fishing and hunting and working on ranches. And it was great. And I tell you the truth, didn't have no idea why I was there. I thought, this must be a lonely guy that just looks for an unemployed actress who invite in and have a... We had a very interesting conversation, and then I left. And by the time I got home, James Watson said, you got to call your agent. So I called my agent in New York. He goes, you just got the lead in a movie that Richard Zanek's producing at Universal Studios called you know, the snake movie. It's about a kid that's turned into a snake. It's a horror movie. It's not a great movie, but it's a That hurt me to say that. Oh, it's a great movie. You got to see it. It's one of those. No, it's a very interesting movie. It was ahead of its time in a way, but now with CGI, what they could have done with the... I turned into a snake. For some actors, that wouldn't have been a real much of an acting job. But for me, I should have said for some agents. I have very little no, I can't say that. I'm learning to censor myself. I don't know why. I have no career. I have no job. I'm not out in the world. There's nothing they can do to hurt me. Oh, I should have said that. If you put this out, there's somebody going, oh yes, we'll find a way. All that shit about smoking, that alone you should be locked away. Smoking is evil, it's harmful, it kills people, and you're out saying all this insane stuff. There's a great book you can get on the internet called The Health Benefits of Tobacco. And it's one of the things I've been talking about for years, all the studies that have been done, which you don't ever see because they don't fit the narrative that nicotine kills. I always say, well, how come I always ask people, the Japanese, you get the studies of which ethnic group lives the longest. It's the Japanese. Their average is 83, for women 83, for men who never live as long as women. It's like 79 or 81. But they live to be 83. I mean, the longest, also they're the heaviest smokers. Far and away. I mean, it's not even close. The Japanese, well, the Chinese are, but they don't keep very good records, so their data is not trustworthy. And little country, Moldavia in Europe is smoke, but the Japanese, it's like 70% of the men smoke, but they don't die of lung cancer. Now smoking, I mean, it's logic. I mean, Aristotle's dead and nobody studies him, but A equals B and B equals C and then A equals C. I mean, if smoking kills and you smoke a lot, you'll be dead from smoking. Now, if you're not dead from smoking, a whole bunch of you want to study that group, wouldn't you? If you're a scientist, you would get them and say, well, how come you've been smoking for 60 years or 70 years and you don't have lung cancer? I want to know what you do that's different. They don't do that because they don't really give a shit about health. It's a political movement. Otherwise, they would study what's different about the Japanese. And also, when they mention smoking, I don't know how I got off on smoking. You guys don't care about this. Why am I doing this? And I lost the war long ago, I got to play Starbuck. And I got to do another smoking TV show, the A-Team. We smoked cigars there, too. A-Team was the last masculine show on American television. Well, I don't mean I mean male-driven. It's the last hit American TV show that is written, performed, acted, directed through the male perspective, the male reality. So it's a cartoon show. It's a silly show. It's not a serious show. It has, underneath it all, it's a little morality play. And there is, for the left, for the liberals in Hollywood who hated that show big time, it's a very dangerous show because it endorses gunfire. It endorses men taking the law into their own hands, vigilantism. It endorses the idea that somebody's right and somebody's wrong, and that the right people are going to be instead of a gray world. Maybe they had their reasons for bombing the towers, and like John Kerry just said, there is a rationale for Hegbo, the comic convention, the comic book company in France that was bombed by terrorists. Well, maybe there's a rationale for that. In other words, everything is gray. There's no right and there's no wrong. So in schools, they don't teach kids right and wrong. They say, well, it depends. It depends. It's subjective. But the A-Team, You know, the A-team was right, and the bad guys are wrong. And by God, we went out and got them every time. You know, and people, we all have that. I wish in my life today, I knew the A-team. I could call them and say, this neighbor of mine is driving me crazy. And he's unreasonable, and I'm right. He's doing this, making my life hell. Just go shut him up. Just go scare the shit out of him. That's a funny story. So I wrote a book about cancer because I survived cancer. My book is called Confessions of a Kamikaze Cowboy. Thank you, yeah, bless you, you're a smart woman. So I've only done 2 things in my life of which I'm proud. I mean, of which I take personal pride, you know, like connected to your ego. So yeah, I did. One is my 2 boys that I raised, you know, as a single dad. And the second is this book, Kamikaze Cowboy. I wrote another book, but I survived cancer and changed my way of eating, just, you know, a complete transformation of my whole being. But, oh, where was I going with this? Help me out. The book came up when what was I just talking about?
Something about the A-team.
Am I in Phoenix?
Yeah.
No, okay,
I think you're in Glendale.
Glenn?
Glendale.
I'm in Glendale, that's right.
Arizona.
Minnesota.
Arizona, not California.
Oh,
The other Glendale.
man, yeah. You know, I depend on my sons a lot for so long for reality that I said, where are we? Roland, where are we? Ah, Dad, we're still in Montana. Oh, oh, it's so great. Children are great. I can't imagine my life with them. I always said people, you know, there was a time when I first started, 95, got divorced. In 94, I got 95, custody. I'm in Montana. You know, I'm out of Hollywood, and Hollywood doesn't call, and it's all over. They say, you know, you're sacrificing your not only your career, your life for your children, which I thought really weird. But that's all I heard from Hollywood, which of course, if you want, and it is true, if you want to be a big star in Hollywood, you don't let anything get between you and that. If you have children, you hire a nanny. When I was there, the trend was if you had 2 kids, you had 2 nannies. 1 kid, 1 nanny, 3 kids, 3 nannies. That was good parenting. My wife and I fought over that because we had 2 kids, no nannies. So we were like bad parents. I said, well, we don't need nannies. They got 2 parents. But that was a losing argument, too. But anyway, you don't let anything get between your ambition. Certainly not your kids. So you have to have studies done to show that kids that are growing up with nannies or in childcare do just as well as kids that grow up with hands-on parenting, so that you don't feel guilty. But so anyway, now I'm getting close to where I was going. So I had a point in mind.
Your book in surviving cancer?
Yeah, surviving cancer, Kamikaze Cowboy, raising thing, the child, the 2 kids. By the way, my kids should be dead soon. You know, they grew up in a smoking environment, you know, with the cigars. One of them smoked cigars. The soccer player, he's Roland. He went to Europe and played. He did really well. He played England. He was with South End United, Gillingham, and then Manchester City took him, and they sent him to Belgium. He played in Ghent. So we lived in Belgium. We lived in Europe for 2 or 3 years. I followed him around, going, "That's my son. That's my son." Are you Roland's dad? I go, yeah. Oh wow, that's cool. Oh, I used to walk through Ghent and Bruges. You ever been to Bruges? You know, they made a movie out of that, about that city called Bruges. I think it's called. Oh, it's a fantastic, it's a little Venice. We'd walk around, all the pretty girls would come looking for him, because he was a soccer player and he's cute, you know, so. And I would just stand and watch, and it was great. It was much better. Hey, this just came on. This is like my wife's vibrator. It only works when you don't want it to. It wasn't on. I was right. I was thinking, I don't hear myself talking. Now I feel powerful. Okay, I'm going to make my entrance again. Oh, I'm almost done. I still wish I could remember where I was with the 2 things, the thing, the book, the kids. Huh?
18.
Masculinity, the 18th.
NBC didn't want you either.
What?
NBC didn't want you either.
No, NBC, same deal. That's why I said I didn't have a career. I had a couple of jobs. I was never in Hollywood. I started to say, so that's how I ended up in television. I made a lot of bad choices. So I should have said no to the Snake movie. Should have gone back to New York. Then the Snake movie got over, and what happens there in Spelling? You know, Dynasty and Charlie's Angels, and you know, the hottest, biggest TV producer of all time, and still today, Aaron Spelling, he offers me a part starring in a TV series. So I go, well, that might be kind of fun. I mean, I'll do a TV. It never dawned on me, you know, that it might affect. So anyway, I did the TV series, and then, you know, unfortunately it was a failure, so, which is, you know, Chopper One it was called. And it was fun, it was kind of fun. You know, I always looked at it from the acting standpoint. Is that when I did Battlestar Galactica, this is fun, I didn't know, well, then I did that, and then I'm away from New York for like 2 years. And now I'm in LA, and now I got people whispering I can, you know, to do movies, and I did. I just did a movie with Twiggy called I Want Her Dead or something. It's a really good movie, where I played as only one of the bad guys, a few bad guys, I got to play a psychotic killer who was terrorizing Twiggy. And I did another movie, so I did these 3 movies, and then I got cancer, and then my career ended, and I went away in 74, 75, 76. I came back in 77, did a couple of Charlie's Angels, and then Battlestar Galactica showed up through. Somebody arranged a meeting. When I was in New York on Broadway, Kate Jackson was doing Dark Shadows, TV show in New York. You know Dark Shadows? Yeah. And she's really cute, and she came backstage once, the first Broadway show I did, 1971, she had a date with one of the other guys in the show, and I just saw her, and I said, oh man, she was my ideal girl. So I got her phone number before the guy showed up, you know, for the date. She was waiting. I said, what are you waiting for? I'm waiting for Jeremy. I said, oh, yeah, so listen, I know this is kind of, but can I call you so I can get your phone number? She gave it to me. So we dated for a while in New York, and then she left and went to LA in 72 and became a TV star. She did, what?
Charlie's Angels.
Yeah, before that though, she starred in...
The Rookie?
The Rookies. She starred in that, and then Charlie's Angels was actually her idea. Very smart woman. And so I knew her, so I was broke by now. I had cancer, changed my way of eating. I'm now living on rice and beans, you know, and dandelion roots. And oh, have you never had dandelion roots? They're so great. I got a dandelion root story that's crazy. Dandelion roots, I dig them up in Montana all the time. They're great. You got to get a tool, dig them up, wash them off, and fry them in olive oil with a little garlic and a little salt and pepper. Fry them in olive oil. So my son Roland, he's in Belgium. This is a funny story. This goes to show what it's like to have a dad that's a little eccentric. So we're in Belgium, and he's on trial, which is trial for a big soccer team in Ghent. So we're waiting there, and he's training with them for like 2 weeks, and they're watching. We're going to sign him. They ended up signing him, and everything was great. But I had met the head of the guy that owned the team, and the sports director, and the manager. These are very important people. So, and they thought I was a little weird because they knew I was a TV star and everything, but I didn't, you know, they're kind of watching me the way I dressed and the thing, and they kept talking. They invited me to these parties that I didn't go to, and then these fancy things. So one day, I used to go running through Ghent, and I noticed there was all these dandelion roots growing along the streets, these huge, and I know them. So I tell Roland, I say, Roland, you know this big Dan? Oh, so he goes with me. So we go for like this 5-mile run all the way down this main street, and I said, so we took plastic bags, and we took digging tools. So, and it's like, it'd be like, it's not it's in a city. So there's like these green grass things, but it's a city with shops and restaurants and stuff. And there's a middle parkway in the middle, this big 2-lane, 4-lane highways going each way. And so we got our, and we're on, I was right, we're getting dang roots are as big as my thumb, and I can't wait, and Roland's kind of helped me out, and he's laughing. So we reach this one spot where there's a whole bunch of them. I said, you know, this is it, because we've got a pretty big bag. And we're bent over, and there's this fancy restaurant right across Patty Corner with an all-glass patio. And Roland and I talked about it, so we had to go this up there, because it looked beautiful, because but we're digging, and Roland looks up and goes, oh, Dad, don't look now, but he said, I forget their name. Mark, and I forget their name. The three guys, the owner, the general manager, and the sports director of this professional team are sitting there having lunch, and they're watching us. And so he said, don't know, but Mark declared, Dad, guess who's watching us dig dandelion roots? We turn around, and we look, and they're all looking at us like, can you imagine? There's this soccer player and his, former TV star dad on their hands and knees in the dirt digging up, I don't know, I mean, maybe they're looking for gold or something, I don't know. And they're dressed kind of weird and they're digging up stuff and they're scavenging. They're like homeless people looking for food. So I turn and look and eyes me, so what do? You go, and Belgians are not known for, they're not so I just waved and went, and they went. They never did. They accepted Roland because he stayed and they played and they found he was normal. But they never were comfortable with me after that. Roland explained that my dad likes dandelion roots, and so, it gets a little freaky deaky, and we had to go out and dig them. And they said, anyway, that was that. So anyway, I changed my way of being cancer. Where was I? So before I run out of time, Battlestar. Oh yeah, I want to finish this train of thought on the 18 because. So I'm doing Battlestar. So Stephen Cannell, who's thank God for there was male producers then that I related to. They got me. They understood what kind of a young man I was. Today, women hate me. Women producers always hated me. Always. Because they were feminists, They were feminists, and they didn't like me. They just didn't like me. I mean, secretly they did. It's kind of like Redford and Streisand and the way they were, the way we were. It's that dynamic. They just kind of fight with you because they hate you. But anyway. Yeah, it's very, very strange dynamic, It's a paradox. Truth is always buried in paradox. Truth is always buried beneath conflicting dynamics. But so he saw me play Starbuck, and Stephen Cannell, he's writing this show called The A-Team, and then it was called The Jazz. And he thought, that's the guy to play bassman. That's what I want. That's what I want. So fade out, fade in. I meet him. Same deal. 6 months auditions. Only this time it's NBC. Fade out, fade in. I go in. I help him hire George Papard because the network didn't really crazy about him because he had a reputation, and he was great. I get a phone call. They hired somebody else. My agent calls me. So what do? What do I always do? Pack my bags and head to Montana. I gotta think about that. I've done that like 3 times now. Now I'm stuck there. In a room, all alone, in the dark, in a house in Montana. I gotta find a way out of that. I'm waiting for her to show up, but she hasn't shown up yet. Dragged me out of there, kicking and screaming, back into the world. So anyway, I think, well, this is nuts. This is, how many times do you have to be told, we don't want you at this damn party? NBC said, absolutely not. And you know what their reason was? He's not good looking enough. He's not good looking enough. We hired the guy who's going to be the best looking guy on television. And Cannell said what any normal person would say, this part is not about being good looking. Yeah, it's about being a con man, a bullshit artist, a charmer, but he doesn't have to be that was on it. Anyway, he didn't get his way, so they went off. I'm not in the 3-hour pilot of the A-Team. So it was over. So I was up in Montana shooting ducks. Every time I shot a duck, it was the name of an NBC executive. Bam! I was little bloodthirsty. No, I just thought, you know, come on, Dirk, wake up, it's over. So I'm up there, and I get the same damn phone call. Are you sitting down? I said, you know, I can only handle so many of these phone calls. It was the same agent, by the way. Because when I came back at first, nobody would handle me. I couldn't get an agent, couldn't find an agent. Kate Jackson. I was talking about Kate Jackson. That's where I got lost. I owe her. She got me the introduction to Glenn Larson, who didn't want to meet me because I was, you know, he didn't know. And I met him because he wanted Kate Jackson, who was a big TV star, to do a project for him, or guest star or something. She said, well, if you meet with my former boyfriend, Dirk Benedict, I'll do that. She says, okay. So I met with Glenn Larson. And then he thought I was great. He was in New York at the time, and that's how he ended up writing the part for me. So thank you, Kate Jackson. But so NBC says I don't do it. They do that, and then Stephen Cannell was not happy with that one. So he called the network. He says, "I'm sorry, but if I can't get Dirk Benedict, we're not gonna do it." They only ordered 3 episodes. Anyway, so I'm gonna do them. Okay, Jesus, you can have. So NBC hated me for the whole 5 years we did that show. I was never invited to a party. They used to do the affiliates dinner. I'll never forget. We were the #1 show in America. A-Team was, and you know what the affiliates dinner is? I won't bore you with that thing. How many don't know what it is? Okay, you can all leave because your IQ is below that. No. The affiliates, you know, NBC, ABC, CBS. And this is before there were 400 channels. Before, you know, Dish Networks and all that. Just 3 channels. I was a TV star, luckily, before that was all fragmented. So when you had a hit show like the A-Team, you had 30, 40 million people watching every night. We had about 60 million when Battlestar went on there. Now, if you have a million people, it's a hit. It's a big hit. So, but back then, so that's why these shows are known all over the world, because, you know, there was only 3 choices on Tuesday night. The A-Team, or I forget what else there was. But,
Doesn't matter.
So they do the affiliates so that networks have all the, you know, they have an NBC channel in Phoenix, they have one in Billings, Montana, they have one in, you know, all over. And all the heads of those stations go to LA, there's a huge party, and the NBC studio and they introduce all of their stars for the coming fall season. It was always in the fall. So we were the #1 show in the spring of '83. So in '84, they had the affiliates thing, and then not one of the 4 stars of the A-Team was there. Dwight and I weren't invited. Mr. T wouldn't go, and George wouldn't go. Mr. T, they wanted to come, but George wouldn't go. Dwight and I were never invited. So there were no stars in the A-Team there. So at the press conference after Grant Tinker, who's a famous guy, married to Marlo Thomas. Famous not for that, but he was the head of NBC television. Was asked by one of the affiliates, or reporters, excuse me, Mr. Tinker, he gave his speech about the fall network, you know, all these new shows, you know, Saint Nowhere, and these different shows. And he says, why was Dirk Benedict and Mr. T, why were they not there? And you didn't even mention them in your fall lineup. Are they on the, oh yeah, but they're not. He said, well, the A-Team is a hamburger show, and we consider ourselves a filet mignon network. And that was very revealing, because we were a hamburger show. We were absolutely. We're blue collar, hamburger. I just told you, right and wrong, masculine, hamburger, meat and potatoes, John Wayne. And that's not Hollywood. They hate all of that, all of it. They pretend to like it when it's, because they want you to watch their product and go to the damn movies. So they always say the right thing. They're not politicians. But, you know, they hold between the flyover country, they hold complete and total disdain. This is why I was lucky to be in 2 shows that were really, you know, for lack of a better word, they were conservative in nature. This is the only reason why people still remember after 30, 40 years, because they had family values. They were connected to something that's universal, which is family. The A-Team had a family quality to it. Mr. T, God bless him, and George, we all understood what we were doing and who we were doing it for. And we were a family. And we behaved like a family, fought like a family, made up like a family. And George was very, you know, we tried it, and it was a silly show, entertaining show, funny, but it had certain values, which we never crossed. And Battlestar, you know, was a very spiritual show. It was family, again, family. Lauren Green was the head of the family with this, and we were going to all together against this evil Cylons, but we were family, and we were going to survive. And families were watching us, so I meet grandkids, great-grandkids, grandkids, parents, and you know, grandfathers who, you know, the parents were 8 years old when they watched it. But those kinds of shows have disappeared. If you did the A-Team today, my character would definitely be a woman. You know, and I'm like, well, Starbuck, what is the new Starbuck? I used to say this before the new show. I said, well, if they do again, Starbuck will be a woman. They'd laugh like hell. I said, no, I'm serious. Either a gay guy or a woman, but certainly not an archetype that goes back to Alan Ladd and Shane and Dean Martin in real life. I mean, no way, not this single solitary guy who comes in and charms the women and he's heroic and he'll fight for us. Starbuck was a warrior, but he was, you know, he'd rather chase girls and drink it, but when it came down to it, he would, and the girls all like him, but he's a little untrustworthy. You know, he's like Shane, really. I mean, it's that, and then he goes off into the sunset. You know, interesting, they were going to do the remake with, oh God, the guy that did the X-Men, the producer of the X-Men. And they originally were going to do it, and they called me up, and I flew down from Montana, making this real short, and they wanted me to play Starbuck. Would I play Starbuck? I said, are you kidding? So I met with them, I saw the script, and it was fantastic. And I told him, the only way I'll do it is if Starbuck is the same character, but he's now 55. And I read the script, he's now training Viper pilots. I said, but I want to show, you know, he's sitting in a lonely room in Montana, going, what happened? You know, I wanted to show, I said, I don't want him to get married and have kids and settle down and wake up and contribute to, you know, breast cancer. No, this guy is only still got one interest in breast, and it's not cancer. This is, you know, he's that character. I mean, you've got to be true to it. But I want to show the pathos, the sad, you know, this is not always a happy ending. This is not, you know. I said, absolutely, it's what we're doing. I said, so that's Benedict was in a bar, and he's trying to pick up this young galactic girl who's like 30 years younger than him, and he's not having any success. Whereas 25 years before, it was all magic, right? But now he's still charming to her, but you can see, you know, forget about it, he's an old guy. This was great. They thought I would have a problem with it. I loved it. I said, yeah, absolutely. He's still smoking. But, of course, they brought in a woman who was the head of the TV channel that did it. What was the Sci-Fi channel, I think, did it, produced it. And she immediately got dumped that she wouldn't allow that. No way. So she did what she did. First thing they did is they got rid of the character, and they made him a girl. You know, I wrote an article about this, because like, everybody would ask me, what do you think about that? What do you think about it? And I would never talk about it because it's a losing argument, and people just hate you. It just makes people hate you, you know. And I don't really care about that, but I didn't want to give it away, so I got some people to pay me some money in a London magazine. I wrote an article called Starbuck Lost in Castration. And it really pissed off this is when the new show was first on the air. And it's about the politics of why I believe, you know, and I tell you why I believe they you know, emasculated that character, as they would do to a TV. I hear there is. Does anybody hear this as a TV show being made of the A-Team?
Yeah, I heard that.
You know, trust me, it'll be women. Not all women. I don't want to be a woman again. I want to be a gay guy. I want my character to be gay. I think that would be, and I want to play it. No, I think my time's up. So anyway, I left out Phyllis there, and what's her name? Oh, I never told the story of my son, my biological son, who I didn't meet till he was 28. It's the best story I have to tell, but Your biological mother actually lives here, strangely enough. I just realized that. Maybe I should. Hope she doesn't know I'm in town. No, it's great. Who's next? How, are they here? I'll give them 20 bucks if they'll give me 10 minutes. Okay, I'll give them 30 bucks. Do you want to hear this story? Yeah. His name is John Talbert, and he's a really good-looking guy. He's about 6'2", and he's a wild man. He lives in Colorado. But in my book, my second book, and then we went fishing, I talked about some of the ladies, the loves of my life. Because they all dumped me. All the women, important women in my life, dumped me with a phone call. It's happened 4 times. The last one was my wife. Phone call saying, you know, her said, can you pick up the kids? Because I'm leaving. I thought she meant, you know, she's going to go back. We'd moved to Montana. We're going to raise our kids there, and they're going to go to school there. And so I thought she meant she was leaving to shopping. Can I, you know, oh, come on. And I said, oh, well, she said, no, I'm leaving. I'm leaving you. Well, you know, what do you say? Anyway, I picked up the kids, and the rest is history. But I got back to the house, and everything was gone, including the only car we had. And I had 2 kids in an empty room. But the first time it happened was my college sweetheart was a beautiful girl at the school, you know, and she was in the theater department, which is the pretty girl that when I went into the musical, I thought, oh my God, you know. Oh, I can't say her name, but she got a magical name. You want to shut that off?
Sure.
My book, open my book, and then you can turn it back up. And then we went fishing. It's the story. It's the story of the birth of my first son, George, and the death of my father. My father was shot and murdered when I was 18, and I was in the room. So it was very traumatic, you know. Yeah. You either, that's when you get your shit together, you know. That's when you either, this is why I have a short patience with people who complain about hardship and difficulty, because life is supposed to be, we're not supposed to be hothouse tomatoes. You know, these conflict-free zones and the thing. This is the worst idea. This is just criminal, to protect people, to protect your children from hardship. You know, my kids would be playing in the playground or something, they would fall down and hurt themselves. Another, you know, the Guatemalan nannies would look at me like, aren't you going to go pick up your kid? Well, I say that because there were no moms there. They were all busy organizing charities. So the nannies were with the kids. It was me and all the nannies who were still out. And I said, no, I saw him. He fell. And they'd fall down and cry a little, get out, climb back on the teeter-totter. You know, you don't run and pick them up. Oh my God, are you all right? Now I'm off on a tangent again. Glendale, not Phoenix, but Glendale. College, a pretty good. So anyway, we got pinned, we got engaged, we were going to be married, I graduated, she graduated, we were together 4 years, 2 weeks before the wedding. I'm in Michigan finishing my master's degree. She's been out, she's got a teaching job. I got 1 more year to go in my acting. She's going to teach there. It's all going to be great. Am I still good?
I'm getting the wrap it up signal from the crew over here.
I can't wrap
Got
this
about
up.
5 minutes. Is
Okay.
that 5? Okay, 5 minutes. Meet your son.
I don't know, it reminds me of my first girlfriend. 5 minutes. Okay, but you got 5 minutes. And so I always thought sex was supposed to happen in 5 minutes. Which was, I couldn't figure out why girls were always so disappointed. You were only allowed 5 minutes. Life is a tangent. That's the other thing you got to learn. Life is a tangent. My life has been a tangent, and a wonderful one. I can't finish the story about John, but he did show up when he was 28, and he's like best friends with his half brothers, and it's been magic. It's been magic. The minute he showed up, we were like old friends, and it sounds like me, talks like me. He's like more than my other 2 sons. He is me. He is like, it's like on the phone you can't tell us apart. But it changed his life. I told him the real book should be from him because he grew up not knowing who his biological dad. Oh, it's great. I got to do this real quick. So he finds out who his biological mother is. He's 20. His girlfriend finally made him do it because his life is messed up. So he goes to the orphanage where the adoption papers, and he finds out, oh, she lives down in Lake Tahoe. Goes down and meets her. So he's with her for 3 days. On the 4th day, he's going to the airport. She hasn't mentioned who the biological parent is. So finally, this guy said, do you know, because he didn't know, is it a one-night stand? Was she drunk? Is it embarrassing? And she hasn't said, oh, by the way, but he said, I may never see this woman again. I got to find out who my biological dad is. So they're driving to the airport into Carson City. And so, do you know who my dad is? Yes. This is how she, yes. His name is Dirk Benedict. And John Hill. He's from Montana. Well, now he calls himself Dirk Benedict. Fuck! Face Man is my father!